worldwide or, you know, whatever.
Well, sell it to them. All right, well, to move on, we've got some other exciting news that's kind of coming up about, I noticed that we've got a new healthcare facility that's going to be built. And I saw that last night late, but also Gerald's going to talk about a few things that the EDC is doing and how the EDC is partnering with the entrepreneurship program and direction that's headed. So Gerald, do you mind coming up?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. It feels different being up here. Thank you this morning and good morning to all of you. Oh yeah, Mark Lee warned me about that. I'll take it at that time and everything like that. I said I won't take the 2 or 3 hours. You know, I guess in a way, you know, you guys are all, you're interested in being entrepreneurs, or you are entrepreneurs. All of us to some extent. I started out, I don't know, you probably don't know much about my background, but I grew up on a farm and ranch in Texas. And so we worked on the farm. We had cattle, and we had sheep, and we had goats, and we had farming operation, and we raised corn and cotton, and peanuts, and everything like that. So I grew up on the farm doing that. Then started, I remember my first venture. You all probably do it. I sold Christmas cards. Christmas cards, you know, personalized Christmas cards. Got on a tractor and went to all the neighbors within 5 miles I could find, and stuff like that, selling Christmas cards to get points or to get dollars back, you know, and I kept part of the proceeds, or I turned in a certain number of points and got radios and got my first shotgun that way and all that kind of stuff, you know. You do that kind of thing. Then later on, I started my own farming operation. And I remember my first year, my first crop was 50 acres of cotton. Total washout disaster. It was dry land cotton, and we didn't get much rain that year. And I think I made a third of a bale of cotton off of 50 acres. That's not even enough to pay for the gas to go get the seed. It was a total washout. And oh my goodness, you know, that was terrible. So the next year I started farming peanuts, and did that for quite a number of years. So we ran a farming operation. And Rita and I got married when we were babies, and actually the farming put us through college and everything. But that last year, when we were both seniors in college, and we made our best crop that year, peanuts, grains were good, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I said, there's got to be a better way to make a living. And so, frankly, I got into Chamber of Commerce work at that time. And been in that most of the rest of my life. But along the way, done a few other things. Did a specialty advertising business. Where we basically printed and sold advertising, put together things, placemats, you know, like for restaurants and things like that, like they have here. We did placemats and gave them away to the restaurants, but we made our money by selling the advertising around the placemats and everything like that. We did that in numerous towns. We did with a partner that I had at one time, we established a travel agency, and this was down in Texas in the early years, and established a travel agency, and it was successful. It was successful. We later on sold it to the lady that we had running the travel agency, but we learned all along the way, and what I'm getting at is you learn lessons. You learn, just like these guys here that you just saw. You learn lessons in business, and you build on those experiences. And, you know, one, know something about what your venture is going to be, or what you're doing. Walking into something and knowing nothing about it is not the smartest way of going into business, to tell you the truth. And it's doing your research and doing your background history, putting together as much information as you possibly can if you don't know anything about it. I'm always reminded of what the sage of Omaha says in Berkshire Hathaway. You know, he only invests in what? Businesses that he's got some knowledge of. You know, railroads. So he buys Burlington Northern Santa Fe. You know, Dairy Queen, he likes ice cream. You know, those kind of things. And he's been supremely successful, so that their stock is selling for $250,000 a share. I mean, my gosh, you know, they don't even sell the stock anymore. But he's made absolutely just thousands and thousands of people multi-millionaires because of his investment philosophy. And doing that and investing in the things that you know a little bit about. And that's why you don't really see him in a lot of high-tech stuff, because he's not really into that. It's learning from those experiences. I learned and learning so much about different ventures and doing your homework. Plan the risk by doing that. I learned in travel agency business. I didn't know anything about travel agency business. We decided we needed a travel agency in that town because there wasn't one within 30, 40 miles. And back then you had to buy airline tickets through a travel agency. You couldn't go to the airline and buy the ticket. You had to buy them through the travel agency. And you got commissions off of that, off of every airline ticket. Now you don't. You know, travel agency business has kind of gone by the wayside around the world. But back then, it was hot stuff. And so if you wanted to go anywhere, you had to go through that. However, we didn't really realize at the time that you had to have certain certifications before you could sell the tickets. You had to be in business for a year before you got those certifications. Wow, how can you do that? It was really, we found that to be most difficult. We had to buy through another agency and then bring the tickets. So we were constantly running back and forth to Fort Worth, Texas, to buy tickets for our own customers, and then end up with another travel agency's name on the things. And we had to do that for a year before we could actually sell our own tickets, because we couldn't get the ticket stock until we'd been in business for a year. And just through ATC and IATA and all the other kind of stuff that certifications you had to go through. And we also learned that you couldn't just hire anybody off the street to run it. You actually had to have somebody who had X number of years experience in the business. So we had to go out and get somebody. So it cost a whole lot more and so forth than we expected. Thank goodness it was successful. And we were able to keep it for a few years and then sell it. Started an economic development consultant. That was an outgrowth of business. I actually retired several years ago, and then went into consulting business, real estate business, and took the lessons that I'd learned in the career and applied it to that. Found it wasn't all that, it was successful, but it wasn't all that fulfilling, because you only get to work on a little piece of the pie, not the whole pie. You know, you don't get to do the planning from the beginning and carrying it all the way through, but you know what we're talking about here. But when you're a consultant, you only get to work on a problem. And once that problem is done, you're out of it. And so that wasn't all that great. And so forth. But my business now here, and has been for most of my life, has been as a chamber exec and economic development. And it's kind of a niche. I think we all go through these experiences and find these things. It's what you really want out of life. And why I went in that business? Desperation was why I got into it. I didn't know anything about chamber work at the time. I was honey, I didn't want to go back and start breaking land for the next farming operation either, for the next farming year. And everything, and I got the call and went in, and I think I got the job simply because at the end of the interview, and they were interviewing a lot of people, they asked me if I had anything to say, and I said, yes, sir, I do. I said, I know you are interviewing a lot of other people here today, people with experience. I didn't have any. I said, but I can tell you one thing. I'll take less than anybody else you've got applying for this job. And that's what I got. It was a lot less. What I didn't realize is that they were in financial difficulty. I think our budget was $18,000 that year, and that's not a whole lot, and especially to pay salaries off of $18,000 for the entire budget of the organization. That was really bad. But anyway, that's how I got into the business. But you get into it, and once you got into it, you go through the classes, and you go to the schools, and you learn kind of what's going on. That first year was really rough. You find out what you're there for. You're there to help people, to make a difference. Affecting the lives of other people. You can affect them in a positive way or a negative way. They'll never know it. They'll never know it. One way or the other. In most cases, they do not know, yet you can have a profound effect on their lives. And I'll give you an example of that. I was in town, Stephenville, Texas. We were an economic development organization, a chamber, but it was primarily, we were working on a company, worked very hard on that particular company to get that company located in Stephenville. It was a major industry, Fortune 500 company. The name of the company is FMC. I don't know if you've ever run across FMC, but you'll see FMC names on a lot of things. We got FMC there. FMC was going to hire about 400 people. Major machining operation. Okay. That was pride. I mean, that was just such a positive experience and all that kind of stuff. It took a lot of work in order to do that. As a matter of fact, we got no assistance from the city or the state or anything like that in doing it. Our organization did it. Actually, I contracted the sewer line. The city would not extend the sewer line the mile to get to the site. So we actually got the money together and built the sewer line, contracted it. We built the water line, but the city, had to prove it, but they didn't put any dollars into the whole thing. We bought the land, did that too. Sold it to the company. It took a lot in order to get that location and get that company there. But when I say we affected a lot of people, many years later, my brother-in-law lost his job. Now, my brother-in-law is not a warm and fuzzy guy. He lost his job, had 2 young kids. He got on at FMC, okay? And he spent a career at FMC, working there. First as just a worker, then a supervisor, and so forth. Both of his sons grew up, went to high school there, started working at FMC. FMC paid for their education, and both of them became engineers. They didn't continue working for FMC. They went on to the oil business. One was a vice president of an oil company now, and the other one is an engineer on oil rigs and offshore and things like that. Both of them make great money. My brother-in-law finally retired. Now, he has no clue of what we did or how we did in order to get FMC there. But it profoundly affected his life. And I smile every time I look at him and say, I think that. But it profoundly affected them. It paid for their education, it paid for their retirement, it paid for all that And that's the kind of effect you can have on people's lives in this business. And that's why we're in this kind of business. That's why we're here at the EDC. And that's kind of what EDC does. It is our job is to go out and not just get new stuff, to work with existing companies and work with entrepreneurs. The Entrepreneurial Development Program here that Ruth M does for us, part of the Cups, but it is also the Women's Conference, Create the Future, which is coming up on June 2nd. It's also working on the Accelerator Program. We did a study, this one, that you just saw in this video here. We're talking about a incubator kitchen, if you will. We just finished a study on the incubator kitchen, by the way. We got a grant through Rural Area Development, contracted for that, and we got the results of that. Basically, it says that our area is just not big enough to really make a go of it. But it's exploring those ideas and to determine, what direction you can go with these ideas and then take them through. In new business development, and it's kind of a glamorous thing, type of thing in this business, but it's a lot of hard work. We spend, and it's not whining and dining like people used to think about economic development. Like having people come in and you're taking them out to eat, or you're taking them on a golf trip or a fishing trip or something or another like that. We don't do that anymore. Now we spend most of our time behind a computer, and we're doing RFIs, or we're doing research, we're presenting our stuff. Most of our stuff is not on paper anymore. It's all electronic on a project, a new project in prospect looking for a location, looking for an existing building. And it took quite a few days to put it together, sent it off last Friday. Heard back from them yesterday. We're still in the running on that deal. And it's a matter of staying in the running until a decision is finally made, until you're not eliminated. Because this business is an elimination business when you're talking about new business development. And by that I mean you go through a series of cuts. Okay, they'll start out with 10 states, the company will, and maybe looking at 50 cities. And then they'll pare that down to maybe 25 cities and maybe 4 or 5 states. Then they'll pare that down, eliminate down to maybe 10 cities and 2 or 3 states. And then they'll pare that down again and again until finally the one that's left standing is the one that's going to get the project. And so you try to make through the cuts. We call making the cut. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. We got really close on a project here recently, and there were 3 cities in Kentucky vying for this. We were one of those. Bowling Green was one of those, and Henderson was one of those. And in this particular project, was going to be for a paper products company. And we got down to it, went through the cuts. It was, by the way, also called an FDI. Yeah, that's a foreign directive. That's when this particular company was a German company looking at us. We got down to us 3. We were feeling pretty good about this whole thing. When you get down to the final 3, one of you is going to get there, and all that kind of stuff. And we waited and waited. Got 2 weeks. We got the message. They eliminated all 3 of us. You sat there saying, what did we not know? And then we come to find out, the reason was they said, you're too far west. Well, If we were too far west, why did you look at us to begin with? And so then you say, well, what changed in this scenario? What changed was one of their customers, their main customer, that they were going to build a facility to support was Procter & Gamble, P&G, out of Cincinnati. P&G announced that they were going to build a new facility in West Virginia, not in Kentucky. They were looking, they bought 450 acres in West Virginia. I didn't know there was 450 flat acres in West Virginia, but they bought 450 acres in West Virginia and going to build a new P&G plant to do multiple product lines. Well, this particular company was supplying some of the material used in one of those product lines. And they said, you're too far west. That's because they were anticipating P&G was going to locate somewhere center part of Kentucky or in Ohio or Indiana or someplace like that, not over in West Virginia. So when they located in West Virginia, then all of a sudden the logistics side of this knocked us out of the equation on Bowling Green, Henderson, and Hopkins County, out of the equation. That's the kind of that's the frustrating side of the whole thing, because there was some part of the equation we weren't over. But that's the business. You have highs and you have lows. It's a little bit like being manic depressive, I guess. The highs are high. I mean, you get an announcement, all that kind of stuff, you're feeling great. You know, when you get turned down, you're feeling really low. And that's a part of the business. But when you do that, and big projects are kind of rare. There was a big announcement, you know, here in the last 10 days, 2 weeks ago. Volvo is going to Charleston, South Carolina. Okay. Well, probably Elizabethtown, Kentucky, was a little bit depressed about the whole thing because they had hoped that they would be in consideration. Don't think they have to really work. But Charleston, South Carolina was, Savannah, Georgia was, several other places kind of in the southeast. I think they really wanted to be close to a port city like that, and so that made a big difference. But there was 4,000 jobs. I mean, those are rare. There are not many projects like that. As a matter of fact, there are probably only about 400 key locations in all of the United States in any given year that are considered to be fairly good sized, over 300 people, 400 people, something like that. You tend to get more that are in the 50 to 100 range, 50 to 150 type of projects in any given year. There are more projects like that that are the small to mid-sized companies, but that have potential for significant growth. And those are the ones we try to work on too. They also fit very well, grow into the economy, and they help diversify your economy, and that's what you're trying to do. Because if you diversify, like Hopkins County's economy for years has really been built on coal, right, Kevin? I mean, coal has been the name of the game around here. It started diversifying a little bit probably in the 70s. Speeded up a little bit in the 80s, got a few manufacturing plants and so forth. All those helped diversify the economy. So when you have a downturn in one, you don't just, the economy just, you don't just drive and blow away like it has in Eastern Kentucky. I mean, there are places that are in the depths of depression over there. They're really desperate simply because the coal business has gone away and they didn't have anything else. Well, except the drugs and the marijuana and all that kind of stuff. I guess they had a little bit of that, but their economy was just shot. And that's what you want to try to avoid in this business. Is just you want to diversify, have as many different types of it. Now think about Hopkins County right now. Yeah, we have the coal. What do we got? We also have almost Alstom up here. You know, non-woven fabrics. Paper products, filtration material, Carhartt, clothing, right? Clothing, international Huge facility, huge facility. By the way, the largest taxpayer in the whole county. It's great for the city, the county, and all that kind of stuff. Berry Plastics, plastics operation.
I'm gonna ask you about Berry Plastics.
Okay. But high-tech chrome up here, totally different thing. Integrated metal solutions, General Electric, aviation. Okay. What's the #1 exporter in Kentucky? Export product. Got any idea? I know the Litos. But, got any idea? Aerospace. Aviation related. Believe it or not, that's our #1 export in Kentucky. And a lot of that's coming out of here, right out of Madisonville. Isn't that cool? But we make staves, we make wood products, we make lots of, barbecue. I mean, we make a lot of different things, but all of those things help diversify the economy here terrifically. Now, you have a question?
Well, and we have 5 minutes at 6:25.
Okay.
So you did a good job talking. But I came from Evansville, and in Evansville, Berry Plastics was really big. It still is very good for the community. And I have been like a huge cheerleader for, what's going on here and just finding out about different things. And this isn't as much of a question as it is a statement for, good job with Berry Plastics. I have a client who told me the other day who's a project manager there that they've actually moved his family here so that, because one thing that I was impressed with in Evansville, we moved there when my kids were in 2nd and 4th grade, and they started doing school tours. When the kids were in 4th grade, every grade school kid in Vanderburgh and Warwick County went on a tour of Berry Plastics, came home, told their parents, woo, this is the greatest thing, we love Berry Plastics, and went around everything in the house checking it that was plastic to see if it was made there. They showed the kids how to check and see if their things were made at Berry Plastics, and they donate buckets to any fundraiser. They were just very good with the community. And I've noticed, having been here for a few years, that, people are kind of slow to, well, yeah, they're new. I don't know. If I asked somebody one day, why don't you leave a job at Berry Plastics? They're growing. Well, I don't think it's going to last. It's a new company. I was like, you have no idea. You have no idea. Then I found out about the biodegradable cups that they were making for Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm like, that is the most awesome thing I've ever seen. And we're like Madisonville is part of a, on the cutting edge worldwide. The Dunkin' Donuts is the #1 distributor of individual cups of coffee. I know you all know this, or you know this, but I don't know if everyone else does. And right here in Madisonville, they are making the cups. Well, the guy told me the other day, he had come in to buy a gift certificate for his wife for Valentine's Day, and I said, how are things going out there? And he said, you'll be happy to know that we had the first school tours. We're starting that now, and I'm like, that is awesome. And then he said that 7-Eleven has picked up the cup. So it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and I'm just, way to go. That's I've seen Berry Plastics in action, and it's a good company to have here.
It's a wonderful company to have here. By the way, they have 85 other locations across this world. By the way, it's a huge company, big company, and they've done a lot through acquisitions and so forth. But what you're going to see here is significant growth in the future. And it's not going to be long time. It is the volume increases, the need increases already. I wish I could take you over there and show you the York building. I think we hear a lot about, the York building. Well, it looks the same as it always has, doesn't it? You go inside the building, and it looks like it's a brand new, spanking facility. You can see yourself from the floor. It is so clean. It is so pretty. It is so well done. And that's Berry Plastics, because they're using that as a distribution center. And they also have some of their new equipment stored over there right now. And get ready. I mean, we're right on the cusp. We're right on the very edge of some major development over here at the Berry facility. Plans are drawn. Things are going. The new customers are coming in. Dunkin' Donuts is a big, humongous account, as is 7-Eleven, as is some of the others. And once one falls, the other falls. All I would suggest is, if you got any stock in a company that makes styrofoam, get rid of it, because it's going by the wayside quickly. cannot recycle that. So,
To speak on that, even Dart, which is a styrofoam company, they approached us, if you notice, we use a lot of the various plastics cups. Dart approached us about custom printing our cups, and they are also working on a product to match the very plastics product. So their foam products will start falling off from the Dart side as well. They're already in the production and research and development. So it's very plastics. Minimum cup order right now for a custom printed cup is 1 million cups.
Million cups?
I kind of thought that was kind of cool.
1 million cups?
1 million
It's,
cups?
1 million cups.
Wow.
Holly, it took Barry 3 years roughly, just to develop, the technology necessary to do this cup, by the way. It's a long planning time, long development time, patented process and all that kind of stuff. So it took a long time to get to this point of a recyclable cup made out of polypropylene. It's just really amazing. But a lot of our companies are doing wonderful things like this. So it's really interesting. Any other questions before I close? This is fun business. Thank you for being here. We're really proud of 1 Million Cups and where it's going, and the fact that all of you are part of it. Come see us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. That was awesome. I was wondering about you. Now I know. Yeah, well, I'm glad you came to Madisonville. Got here before I did and made it more wonderful. I just wanted to let you guys know about the future. On May 27th, next week, we have, oops, I just went away, Lacey Ellis of littlehoots.com, and it is a
Skype.
I know, yeah, no, that's not what I'm going for. It is a, what do they do? I can't remember.
Mementos.
It's an app, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is going to be a Skype presentation, so it will be live. We're working on that, getting it all ready. So this should be really cool. This is our first one, so please attend. Please invite your coworkers and friends, because this is something new for us. We've never done a live Skype presentation, so we'll be able to ask the person, Leslie, ask her questions and things like that. So I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. And on June 3rd, Laura Benson from Philly Flair, she is the one who's going to be speaking at the women's conference the day before, and then she's going to be our speaker that morning, so we'll have a chance to get up close and personal with her and ask her questions. If you're not a woman, I'm sorry, you can't go to the conference. Maybe you still can.
Yes, you can. Yes,
okay, you still can, yeah.
Yes.
But you have to wear
We actually have a few men
wear a dress, right?
already coming.
Dress up
The
like
exciting thing about Laura Benson is she's gone from a ranch there in South Dakota, North Dakota,
South.
and South Dakota, and starting this little business just out of her home, and now she's bringing this $5 million business, and she's got lots of people working for her, and it's just a fantastic success story.
Yeah, I checked out her website last week. If you haven't had a chance to do so, it's Philly Flair, and she there's a lot of those little online boutiques now, and it's like to see, you know, that she's gotten this big, and there's a lot of them that are just startups that are just getting there. And then on June 24th, we have a couple of openings, the 10th and the 17th. If anybody knows of anyone, we'd like to get those filled quickly. I know we have at least one that's going to fill in there. June 24th, Akins Construction with David Akins, and then skipping to July 8th, Pete Vitar, he's the president of Anderson, Indiana-based Extreme Alternative Defense Systems, and he is coming down to talk to us. And Mark Lee has showed us a little bit about what he does and what he's bringing with him, and it's pretty exciting and pretty cutting edge and cool. So we've got some really good stuff coming up. Thanks for coming today, and have a great week.